Hey everybody, I'm Tim, and today it's time to satisfy your humidor hysteria. And you're watching Cigars Daily. Hey, get more out of this and all our videos when you join the community on Cigars Daily Plus. And of course, for this video, I am jamming on the new Diesel Vintage series. This has quickly become one of my go-back-to cigars. A cigar that even when all kinds of new stuff is coming out, I still go back to this blend for its rich, dark, complex flavor with incredible notes of coffee, chocolate, and there's like this plum-type sweetness to it that somehow complements this flavor profile so well. I'm not typically a plum guy, but in this cigar, it rocks my palate, keeps me coming back and puffing for more. I don't want to stereotype cigar smokers, but the truth is, I don't think we're really, for the most part, the nesting type of people. Like, for most of us, if we're going to have a baby, it's our wives or our partner that's like, oh, let's pick the colors for the bassinet, and we got to make sure we got the baby sling thingy so we can strap it to our bodies and sweat all over the baby while we're walking around. Most of us want to enjoy a good cigar at the end of the day, and we say, hey, when he comes out, put him in the spare room, baby will be fine. At least that is until we do something like catch a big fish or shoot a buffalo. Then we become nesting maniacs, and all of a sudden we're like, honey, what color finish should I be putting on the mount for my buffalo head on the wall? These things seem to affect us in a way that other things don't, and certainly cigars quickly become a part of that. You will never see a dude start nesting so fast as when he starts a new cigar collection. All of a sudden, for some reason, in a way that a baby doesn't, it causes a guy to be like, this collection must be maintained in perfect condition all the time. Let nothing more be said. The truth is, when it comes to a cigar collection, it's a lot of fun to care for and cultivate a growing collection of cigars that you know are going to give you an experience that helps you relax, enjoy an incredible flavor, and dive deep into the culture and art of rolling cigars. It's a very special thing. It also takes us away from all the rigmarole that typically comes in the daily tasks and chores and love we pour out to our jobs and families. And so today I want to take you through some humidor collecting, cigar collection cultivating tips to help you get the most out of your growing collection, no matter where you're at, whether you've just started or you're well down the road. I'm going to take you through a few different levels of humidors here and show you setups for each, along with some things that you maybe haven't thought about and how to keep your collection exactly how you want it. This is where you will catch yourself sort of obsessing about your cigars in the humidor and the little things that you can't quite get right but want to. And so in this video, I'm also going to confront some common frustrations that cigar lovers have with their collections and some quick and easy solutions to them. And so with no further ado, let's dive right in. But of course, I always say with no further ado and then ask you guys to drop a comment. So I'm going to do that here now, obviously. Drop a comment down below. How do you set up your humidor and what do you recommend for getting it done? Whether it's seasoning or keeping your cigar collection long-term or aging cigars, give a good piece of advice that you think would be really helpful to a newcomer. And if you're just getting into cigars, look for more recommendations in those comments because people in the Cigars Daily Nation are smart as a whip and have tons of experience. I want to kick this off with sort of the introductory view. This is level one. You've just walked in the front door of Cigars, you're admiring the lobby, you see all the cigars, and you're just beginning your collection. And eventually, you'll need somewhere to store them, and that's where you start thinking, by God, I need a humidor. And it's one thing that I talk about a lot is what your first humidor is and what I would do if I could go back and start this all from the beginning again. Like a lot of people who get into cigars, I started with a basic wooden desktop humidor. And most people still use those when they get kicked off with cigars. It maybe holds 20 to 40 sticks. They're pretty simple wooden boxes with Spanish cedar lined interior. And they're fine for the most part. They require some dialing in on humidity and they can be a little maintenance intensive. It's why I tell people that if I could go back and start all over again, I would kill for the chance to start with something like this. This is an acrylic jar humidor. These things are great because first of all, these ones come with a Spanish cedar built into the bottom. They come with a little humidifier here. I don't love the humidifiers a ton, but they hold about 20 cigars. And if you're just getting started, this is a great way to kick off a collection and even grow it a little bit. I've seen a lot of people online who use successive jars that cost like 20 bucks. They'll get 2, 3, or 4 of these. They'll separate their cigars by brand or by wrapper leaf. So maybe one jar for an infused collection and one for non-infused. There's lots of ways to slice and dice your collection and display them that looks pretty damn stylish. If style matters to you, the acrylic is sort of the best way to go on the ultra affordable level. If you don't care as much about presentation, you just want an economy solution, truth be told, Tupperware will work really well. And for Tupperware, I recommend Gladware's Brilliance line. By God, I never thought I'd be an adult man recommending a specific brand of Tupperware to you, but here we all are. Perhaps my favorite thing about the acrylic humidor is the fact that this is a set it and forget it solution. Like, you get your cigars, you put them inside, you put some humidification in there, which a simple humidification pack like a Boveda pack, this is a really big one. Even the smaller ones that typically, smaller packs that come with, you know, if you order somewhere and you get them and it's got a humidification pack in there, or maybe your brick and mortar throws one in with your cigars when you leave, those will work really well in here too. And it's like I said, set it and forget it. You put your humidification pack in there, you put your cigars in there, you close the lid, and you're good to go. There's one thing that I would recommend adding to this situation, and I recommend it for every humidor out there, but even the beginner situation, is a digital hygrometer. One of the best upgrades you can make to just about any humidor, unless it comes with a digital hygrometer. There's round ones, there's rectangular ones. And that's about it. That's about all the cigar industry has pumped out. Now, these things give you a digital display and a really nice, accurate look at what your current humidity is. That will let you know if you're sitting at the humidity you want to be at. So whether you like 65% for your cigars or more like 72, you'll be working on dialing that in, whether you use a humidification pack or you use something like this little puck in here that just holds some distilled water. Whatever route you go, one of these will tell you where you're at. This is like the gas gauge on your car. It's an important gauge and you want to have it. Without it, you're not really sure how much gas you have and exactly how far you're going to go. Then one day you pull out a dry cigar and by God, that sucks. You got to revive your whole collection. So obviously a digital hygrometer is a great thing. If your humidor doesn't come with one, I get them. And just as a quick side note, my humidor behind me right here has got an analog hygrometer right above me. I hate these things, and I always replace them with a digital hygrometer anytime that I get a new humidor. And so it's like my biggest recommendation for humidors. And if you don't have one, you should get one. Now, obviously, the appeal of this one is the simplicity of it. Like I said, you throw some cigars in there, you put your digital hygrometer in there, a humidification pack, boom, you're done. But there are some things that, along with all the humidors we're going to talk about today, I want to recommend too. So I'll start off with this one. Now, this won't make your humidor function any better, but it will make your whole collection work better. I promise it'll come in handy. And that's having a simple bottle of cigar glue around. There are so many things that can affect your cigars. Dropping a cigar from a table like this is maybe 4 foot off the ground. Even if it's in the cellophane, it can crack the foot of the cigar, crack the cap. Sometimes you get a cigar that's just cracked just because something happened to it along the way. It traveled probably from Nicaragua all the way to your house, and a lot goes on during that trip. So a bottle of cigar glue will help fix like a lot of different things that can go wrong with a wrapper, whether it's a crack at the foot, in the middle of the cigar, or at the cap. You can paste it up real quick and then still enjoy the thing and get all the value out of the stick. So whatever your humidor situation is, I recommend having one of these. And if you've been smoking for any period of time, I'm willing to bet you've kicked yourself if you haven't had a bottle of this around, at least at some point. Now, as with many hobbies, or obsessions as your counselor is going to want to call it, eventually your whole cigar collection is going to start to grow. There are just too many amazing blends out there today for it not to. And so eventually you'll get into, larger desktop humidors or larger humidors flat out. And this is where the name of the game starts to change a little bit. Unlike the very simple acrylic humidor, wooden desktop humidors require a little bit more attention to detail. Part of the benefit here is they are quite handsome, and they tend to hold more cigars in one area than just one acrylic does. An acrylic can hold up to about 20 cigars. This one might hold 30 or 40, and this one will hold 50 or 75, really depending on the size of cigars you're putting in there. But there's a few things about these you got to know up front. The first one has to do with seasoning. Anytime you use a wooden humidor, you're going to want to be seasoning the whole thing. And this is something that in the past has been recommended to do in a very specific way. You need a sponge, you need some distilled water, it's like a whole tutorial, and you can find out all of this online. There's like a bazillion different videos. Everybody who makes cigar content has made a how to season your humidor video. Hell, even I've made them out there. But there's simple ways to do this these days. And one of my favorite ones is Boveda has made this humidor starter kit. This is a very simple way to season a wooden desktop humidor, and what they give you inside is 84% seasoning packs. That helps your humidor, your wooden humidors, increase in humidity a lot very quickly to reach more of what you're looking for, which is that sort of 65% to 72% usually. Here's why I like this more than the sponge and distilled water idea. It's accurate. And like they've got a whole set of instructions and exactly how to do this in here. It's like season your humidor in a bag versus doing it with a sponge and distilled water, which if water pools inside the humidor in the wood, then it's going to start to warp the wood. You can get mold inside these humidors. Like there's a little bit more of a margin of error doing it the old way versus using something simple and made for this like a humidor starter kit. So I do recommend these, and I know a lot of people use them with great success, especially on wooden humidors like this. Then once you get the thing set up, you've got to keep the humidity steady. And again, these require a little more maintenance than in acrylic. Because these are made of wood, they're going to constantly be breathing in and out humidity. The room that you're in is going to be pulling the humidity out of the box through the exterior, and inside, if you don't have the wood perfectly seasoned, dry wood will actually pull humidities out of the cigar inside, defeating the purpose of having a damn humidor. And so keeping that humidity just right inside is a big deal. So once again, I recommend a digital hygrometer. You can see this larger humidor comes with an analog hygrometer, which I'm going to pull out of here, and then I'm going to replace it. Some of these will fit and some of them won't. The downside here is that you have to open the humidor every time you want to see your humidity, which releases humidity. It's the same idea as opening your fridge. You let all the cold air out. And so there's a couple ways around that. A glass top humidor will allow you to see your digital hygrometer inside. They also make Bluetooth ones, and I recommend Govee for that, G-O-V-E-E. Govee makes some great Bluetooth accessories where your humidity will track directly to your phone. But if you just want a simple digital hygrometer, these ones are affordable and great. So there's multiple options there. It's really whatever suits your collection the best. And again, controlling the humidity inside your humidor is paramount. You got to have the right amount of humidity in there. So after you season it, again, I like these packs. I like them for a lot of reasons. Bovedas are two-way packs. In fact, a lot of the branded packs out there now are. There's Integra Boost and Humicare and a few other ones like that. They all make packs that are two-way packs. Essentially, they let out humidity until they reach a desired point. This pack is set to 69%. And if there's more than 69%, this will actually reabsorb that humidity to help maintain humidity in your humidor without you worrying about it. The other huge advantage to packs like these is you can put them in the humidor. They can be touching the cigars. It's just fine. They won't ruin your cigars, and they don't take up a lot of space. It's the thing that I don't like about humidifiers like this. Now, this larger humidor has a place in the lid for you to put your humidifier, but humidifiers like this, they're typically filled with that green foam stuff that your Aunt Karen used to stab fake flowers into, and that stuff can grow mold, and so I don't like it a lot. Again, larger margin of error with that stuff. So a Boveda pack is pretty simple. You throw it in there, and again, it's closer to the set it and forget it, even though it requires a little more maintenance, a little bit more dialing in. And one thing I got to mention about these packs, be it Boveda or Integra Boost or any of the other guys, is that they are disposable. So it's one thing you'll end up buying more of these over time, but I can tell you a lot of people do it and trust it because they work so well. There is also this notion that you can recharge these packs. When they dry up and sort of start to get hard or anything like that, you can revitalize them. There are tutorials about how to do that online, and some people trust it and some people don't. Some people swear by it. That's got to be your call. I know a lot of people who just, when theirs dries up, they buy a new one. And I know other people who will like have their various ways of trying to revitalize these and get more use out of them. But a pack like this costs like $4. You might use a few of them a year. So it's really up to you to decide exactly what you're going to do. This also happens to be the size of collection where you're going to start to think about something a lot of people get concerned about with bigger collections, and that is circulation of air. The bigger the humidor, the more space there is inside, obviously, and the more important it is to have some sort of circulation of air, because if the air just sits, it presents a couple of dangers. One of them being that all your cigars might not get equally humidified, especially if they're stacked tightly on top of each other. Also, stagnant air can lead to issues like mold and tobacco beetles if one part of your humidor gets more humidified than another. And I've actually become a big fan of this thing called the Cigar HumiFan, which is a pretty damn simple tool for solving that issue in humidors of this size and going up quite a bit larger from here. So the HumiFan has a receiver on the front and a vent on the top, an angled vent that blows the air out. It turns on for 15 seconds every 15 minutes and helps preserve battery life and rotates the air through your humidor so that you get a more even distribution of humidification. One of the most brilliant ways to create air circulation without taking up a ton of space. This thing will take up a little bit of room in your humidor, about the space of 3 Toro cigars. So if you've got a humidor like this one, you can put it, generally speaking, under the shelf on the side of the humidor. I'll go ahead and set it in the back so maybe you can see it there. And you would lose the space of about 3 Toros, but what you would gain back is air circulation for your whole collection. Obviously, the bigger your humidor is, the more one of these is going to come into play. Now, these things clock in around almost $50, so they're not ultra cheap. Another way to do this would be with a computer fan. You can get those online for a few bucks, and then you got to run a cord to the wall. But if you want to do a solution like that, I've done it before. The thing I don't like about those is that they just move air all the time, and it can be a little too much, causing your stash to get over humidified. I love that this one gives you 15 seconds every 15 minutes. Seems like a perfect way to keep the airflow good, keep your collection in the best condition possible. Now it's time to get down and dirty and talk business. This is the level for the serious aficionado. Your collection is grown. You've got a few acrylics, a couple of wooden humidors, a Tupperware sitting around, and your wife is like, "These are taking up too much room in the dresser." You got to do something a little bit more classy and, of course, give yourself back more control. It's really weird about cigar storage that it starts with the smaller, like set it and forget it acrylic, and then there's sort of a range of wooden desktop humidors that require a lot of maintenance. And then when you step into the top tier of what humidors are today, it goes back to very low maintenance. And of course, I'm talking about thermoelectric refrigerated humidors. These things are amazing. So next to me is one from Kimchi, and then back here is the one from Need One Humidors. I use these a lot. I have one in my office. I have one at home up in my my office at home. I have one in my living room at home that's a converted wine fridge. And it's a little different because it doesn't have the thermoelectric motor, but I know some of you do at home. So I'm going to take you guys through these humidors and what they do for you. The first thing being obviously the most important. These control temperature for you. And this is really, if temperature is a concern, and I get a lot of calls at the Cigars Daily HQ from people who, during the summer, get their collections going in an acrylic or a wooden humidor and find that the temperature goes up quite a bit. And this just happens because you're not turning your AC down in your house as much as you would during the day as you would at night when you're home. So you go to work and maybe you turn the thermostat up to 82 or 86 or 89 if you're a psychopath. Then when you get home, you bump it down a few degrees and then it's livable for you. But if with a wooden or acrylic humidor, that humidor is going to sit at whatever temperature the room is that it's sitting in. So if your room is at 89 degrees, so therefore will your humidor be too, and you get this serious danger of mold and tobacco beetles, and that temperature jumping up and down messes with all kinds of stuff. These thermoelectric humidors maintain temperature for you. And if you live somewhere where it's really cold, they also make models in several different brands that cool and heat your collection and basically maintain one temperature all year long. That's sort of like the coup de grace of humidor cigar collection stuff. But another great thing about these is they've got these refrigerated doors on them. Refrigerated doors give you the capacity to keep your humidity dialed in unbelievably well, and all of them come with them. And so that's what sort of makes it a set it and forget it deal. Once your humidity's dialed in, it should stay that way for a very long time, but you still got to humidify the damn things. Now, pretty much all of these will come with some kind of dish or tray. You can put distilled water in it, and it's a fine way to regulate humidity. It actually does a really good job by itself, but you can see that these tend to take up a lot of space. King Cheese done a great job of making their tray flush with the bottom. You can remove it and put it back in, but it doesn't remove any cigar storage in there. Other humidors do. This is really quite a large dish that would take up the space of maybe 10, 15 cigars inside your humidor. It reduces your storage capacity a lot. So this is another area where I recommend, humidification packs. Like Boveda has these, are 320 gram packs. Yeah, 320 gram packs. They come in every humidity, and they want you to have like, I forget what there's like one of these for every 50 or 75 cigar capacity the humidor has. So one of these would do this humidor, but it would probably take two of these to do the humidor behind me on the barrel, and probably a bunch to do the humidor over my right shoulder here. So it's like, you kind of got to make sure that you dial it in, and there's a little fussing with it before you get it exactly where you want it, but then maintaining becomes a whole lot easier. Now, of course, these things solve bunches of problems. Humidity regulation, temperature, space to store your cigars. They're ultra durable. They're fashionable. So your wife's going to stop complaining about your big collection of Tupperware and all that crap. It's all really good stuff that makes it much simpler to keep a humidor. One of the big complaints that I have about these units, though, and you can sort of see it with this humidor over here on the far side, is the shelves, the two shelves on the top are completely flat. Very different than the bottom shelf here, which is actually like a tray that you can store your cigars in. So I was so excited when I found this, a Spanish cedar cigar storage tray. Now, these things have sides on them, and for humidors, especially the more economic electric humidors that come with all flat shelves, these will solve your problem of being able to arrange your cigars and keep them from rolling off the flat shelves when you open the thing and pull the tray out. I love these. I use them in my humidors at home because they make that storage really simple. They come with this divider piece in it. You can move around and separate your top end cigars from your everyday cigars, or the cigars you're going to share with your friends with the cigars that they had better not touch. The stuff like this is really convenient, and the more that you do that, like the cigar collection thing, the more you're going to realize that having the capacity to separate and keep your cigars exactly as they were helps you keep track of them and helps them all stay in better shape. And again, if you don't have one of these, by God, then make sure that you have another bottle of cigar glue at home, because eventually you're going to open it, something's going to roll off the shelf, you're going to have a cracked cigar in your hands, it becomes a whole mess. But make sure you measure one of these before you get them so that it will fit inside your humidor. This particular tray right here wouldn't fit inside the King Cheese because the King Cheese is too narrow of a unit. At the same time, the bigger the humidor, the more these become valuable. My humidor at home, which is similar to the size of this big cabinet one over my shoulder, I probably use 10 of these trays like this to separate all my different cigars. They're absolutely wonderful. I love them. I couldn't recommend them more. Now you're ready. You can go off and nest with your cigar collection and make sure everything is just right. And I hope that this video has helped you find some tools to be able to eliminate the issues, whether it's the frustration of dialing in and seasoning a humidor, or circulating air, or arranging your cigars. All of these things are made much simpler with the tools that we have available today, and thank God that we have them. But I want to ask you again to drop a comment down below. What are the big things you wish you had known as you started growing a cigar collection that you can pass along to other people? And again, if you're just getting into cigars, check some comments out, because there's a lot of brilliance in the Cigars Daily Nation. And of course, join the community on Cigars Daily Plus. You can get a whole lot more out of all of our content, hopefully help your cigar collection a whole lot more too. Thanks again so much for watching. This is Tim, signing off for Cigars Daily, and I will see you in the comments.